What's going on, everyone? This is Ray here. Today we're going to be doing a song breakdown of Roundabout, which is the OST from the Woman in Melee series that plays between Link and Cloud. And this is going to give me a chance to continue on with showing you guys a little bit as to what goes on behind the scenes and break down a little bit of the sounds and instruments that are being played in this song. So let's go ahead and crack the session open and see what we got here. So the goal that I wanted to have with this song was to really blend together a hard-driven, guitar-oriented metal song, but throw on some retro chiptune synth on top of it to kind of give it that throwback feel. So let me explain to you a little bit as to what I mean by that. So the way that the song kind of starts, and if for some of you guys who are not familiar with some of these song breakdowns and what's going on right here on the screen, one of the cool perks about using this program Logic is I like to snap the animation that Hypergauge gives me right into the session like this. So if you notice, if you remember from the song breakdown I did of the franchise when Mario took on Sonic, this might be a little funny looking to you guys who are familiar with the episode itself of Link versus Cloud. And I have the animation loaded right into the song like this, and this is the way that I prefer to get my compositions done as far as working to animation or to visual media. I like having the animation completely done and stripped down of no music, no placeholder music, so it just sounds raw like this.
The divine lights are blazing.
So this is probably looking a little weird to some of you guys, and this is no music. But this really opens up the opportunity for me to compose to the animation and make sure that I can accentuate all the different hits, the drops, whether that be with drum fills, guitars, or anything that goes on. I can really give it some character and bring it to life by really focusing on timing everything in rather than just making a song that kind of loops and plays throughout the track or throughout the animation itself. So this is really helpful for me. So let's see. So usually what I like doing, I'm not really a fan of kind of 3, 2, 1, go and having a song start right when, fight breaks out on these episodes. Personally, I like building up a little bit of tension before leading up to the big drop. So that's what I did here, if you notice. I'll have the animation going. Right. So I'll mute the animation just for now so you can hear what's going on. So this creepy little thing in the beginning, so there's a couple things going on in there. There's a couple different layers. Let's dive into these a little bit. So one of the main things that's going on is this little synth called Dream Dancer. It's just, I don't make up some of the names for some of these synths, but this one's called Dream Dancer, and it's this kind of short, plucky type rhythm going on. So if I swallow that out, this is what it kind of sounds like. All right. Then it gets a little bit more intricate. And if that sounds familiar, it's because that is the main synth melody that's going on in the beginning, and also when the drop happens, when all the instruments come in all together. So there's that. There is this more prominent synth. It's probably what you guys hear more. But putting them together, see, gives a little bit more life, a little bit more character. So there's those two synths going on in the beginning, and then this is kind of one of my more favorite instruments that I use. This is called a Voyager, and it's this weird little whistly type shrill that sounds a little creepy by itself, and it's probably hard to pick it out of the song if you're hearing everything together. So soloing it here, you'll be able to really see what the underlying tone is underneath all of that. So yeah, see, it sounds a little weird. Yeah, a little creepy sounding, right? But you put all of them together, and you really get that. You can probably pick it out from underneath everything now. Yeah, so stacking them all together like that, it makes makes it pop a little more. So that's what I did for the intro there, just to build a little bit of tension right before the fight starts. And so, like I mentioned, that main riff here, that thing that's going on, that all comes in a big drop here. Alright, and that is essentially, like I said, that same plucky pattern, except now it's a little bit more prominent, it's a little bit more up in front. There's less EQing and processing going on with it. Alright, so if you take that out, and this is what I mean by wanting to blend two styles together, more of like a metal contrast with some retro feel to it. If you take that synth out from what's going on the drop, it kind of just sounds like a heavy metal song, to be honest. So here, I'll take that out, and if you listen, all the guitars and the drums and bass kind of just sounds like a little bit of a metal song. Yeah, so there you go. So that's what I really wanted to do with this song, is to keep it kind of straightforward, hard-nosed, and just let the sprinkling of all these different synths really give it that character and that vibe throughout the whole match. So after that, we're going to go over to this little, I guess you can call it a verse. So this thing right here, you might recognize this synth. I actually use the same sampling in another One Minute Melee song on the Let's Play co-op track, which is Luigi fighting Tails, and it gives it that little bit of a hoppy type intervallic feel to it, and just kind of giving it that more, like I said, old school retro feel with the chiptune lead. And so again, like I said, if you take that out, the song really just sounds like a metal song. So yeah, so like I say, you throw that on there, yeah, and it gives it a whole different vibe. So I really like blending those two together. Especially me being primarily a guitar player, I really like being able to kind of stay true to my roots and then give it a little bit of a creative flair by throwing on a couple different instruments. So if we move on over these strings, this song actually was one of the songs that I first started really experimenting more with, getting more dynamic sounding strings going on in music. Before I was kind of guilty of having strings that sounded a little too fake, if you will. And obviously, I'm not here playing a violin or anything, but I always had a really hard time getting strings to sound nice and getting them to sound choppy and tight, but not having them sound too, like I said, fake or I guess kind of artificial. And so here, I was able to really get really nice staccato on all of these different strings, and I think they added for a little bit of a flair when this all comes in. So check it out. Alright, so there's a couple strings going on there. There's these guys right here, and then there's this French horn going on the bottom here. So if you take all the guitars and everything out, it sounds like this. Like I said, again, if you take all of that out and it's just the guitars and the bass, it sounds very metal oriented, but you throw that on there and it gives a little bit of a different feel. And when it all comes in. So yeah, so there's that part of the song. So here, this is where things start to get a little bit crazy and a little bit interesting, in what I think is probably the more interesting part of the song. So, like I said, in the beginning, the goal of the song was really to give it I really wanted to go for a retro feeling, video gamey chiptune style. And so what I did here, I used this little break to really accentuate that kind of feeling. So what I did here is I did a couple things with a bit crusher. Now, if a few of you guys aren't familiar too much with some of these this plugin stuff and geeking out on all this digital workstation stuff, a bit crusher is essentially a plugin that you can apply to an instrument or to, in some cases, a vocal. Some people get crazy with putting them on vocal tracks. A bit crusher essentially enables you to take the sound wave that's going and kind of crush it down and make it sound very artificial, and it really gives it a chance to seem very, like I said, digital and artificial, and it makes for some interesting sounds. So what I did here, I will solo this little drum kit here. I made this little kind of dance beat here with the drum kit. Let me solo this, and it sounds like this. Alright, so it doesn't really sound like too much, right? So, but what I did is I threw all this processing on it, and like I said, this thing called a bit crusher. So if you can see here, this bit crusher, this little S right here, it looks a little choppy now, but if I kind of make it normal, see, this is what it usually would look like, okay? And so if I use this bit crusher, I actually, in this case, am sampling it down 5 times. And if you notice, whenever I sample it down, these sound waves get a little bit more choppy and hard cut. And that's what makes it sound, what's going to make it sound very artificial and digital. And it makes for a bit of an interesting feel. So what I did is I threw this bit crusher on there, and I threw off a lot of EQ, some low end here, and just kept kind of this mid-range to give it that kind of radio feel. And so when you throw all this together with this bit crusher and everything, it makes it sound pretty interesting. So check this out. This is what it sounds like now with this bit crusher and all this processing. So I think this is pretty cool. It kind of makes it seem like one of those quick Mega Man run and gun, like you're just kind of running through a level. So that was pretty cool. So, but the thing is, in this break, I didn't just do this for the drum tracks. I actually added in some guitars down here. So these 2 guitars, like I said, I'm going to take off the processing that I did so I can kind of show you what they sounded like beforehand. These guitars alone just sounded like this. There's 2 of them going on. There's one left and one right. Alright. So again, if you put all this processing on here that I did, and I still did the same thing. I used a bit crusher. See if you can see right here, there's a little bit more of a hard line. So they're going to sound really digital and very artificial. But it makes for some interesting sounds. So on top of that artificial drum kit, I put these artificial guitars. See, sounds a little wild, right? And you'll hear this back and forth. See, there's this little bounce back going on. So you put all that together on top of this, and in this break in here, it really draws it back, and now you get this kind of turnaround that sounds very retro. And you get this bounce back. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. I really like doing that kind of stuff. And it just made the song kind of take on a new vibe and a new theme for a moment, and just kept it kind of interesting as it's going forward. And so after that crazy bit crusher retro part comes in, and we go into this little bit of, I guess you can call it the outro of the song. So a couple things happening here. There is this kind of more rhythm section going on the guitars. Alright. Then we have these 2 harmonies. One going on like that. And then one guitar. Put them together. So that's pretty cool. You know, a la Iron Maiden or whatever you want to draw that up to. And the song kind of just starts to glide out from there. Crazy drum fills, of course. And there you go. So, yeah, guys, so that is Roundabout playing between the clash of Link and Cloud. This is one of the tracks that I've had the funnest time recording personally, just because I got to really begin to expand mixing a couple different synths and chiptune style mechanics over some of the metal guitar stuff that I've been doing. So this one was a lot of fun, and I had a really great time with this. And also the animation came out beautiful, so that always makes it a plus to working with anything that Hypergauge gives me. So if you guys like the song breakdown, and there's one that you want to see specifically, let me know in the comments below, and I will try to get to any of your requests that you have coming in as soon as I possibly can. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome on in. I hope you enjoy the content so far and some of these song breakdowns. I'll also leave a link in the description for Roundabout and all the other catalog of music that I put out from the series in the description below as well. If you are new, again, make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and if you want to stay posted with all of the updates and new videos, make sure to click the bell icon so you can stay up to date with all the notifications whenever there's a new upload. So yeah, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.